You're both incredible authors. What advice do you have to someone who's ready to write their first book?
Ooh, okay. God. Well, I come from a little bit of a different school of thought, and I'm curious. I know what your process has been in the past. I'm curious what your process is now, if it's changed with your new chapter. I'm like the type of person, I don't like to talk about what I'm doing. I like to just do it. I'm not the type of person that needs a lot of feedback in the beginning, because I feel like, when you're really excited about something, have you ever been in a situation where it's so new and it's so fresh, and you feel like if somebody gives you the wrong opinion or reaction, it's going to take you out of the experience? I've had that happen to me so many times. And writing is such a special medium for me that it's the one thing that I really safeguard and I really hold close to my chest until I'm ready and I feel like I want to expose it to the elements. So for me, I would say if somebody out there is wanting to write a book or they're wanting to go on a creative journey, I would say give yourself the time and space to develop your idea and nurture it. And when you're ready to get feedback or ask for advice, I would absolutely, I'm all about getting advice and opinions and, feedback from the right people in the right time. And even if you don't hear what you want to hear, keep going. Like that's what I would say to that person.
Yeah. So I just taught my blueprint to bestseller weekend, and I'll have the wait list for that below, which is all about like getting started on writing your book. And one of the first things that I teach is connecting to the soul of your book, because I believe that every single book has its own soul and it's a vibration. It's an energy that's living in the field, that's living in the cosmos, that's waiting to come through. And it chooses the people that can bring it into reality, and it chooses multiple. That's why sometimes we like write the similar books, but it's like through our own personalities and life experiences that it becomes different. It's a journey through our own chakra system. So connecting to the soul of your book. So for me, like the way that my book ideas have come, it's often in like when I'm on a walk or a stream of consciousness, or I'm writing or I'm voice memoing or something like that. And I just feel like this is like a concept I have, like an overarching like concept, which is always related to my own life experiences, right? So like healing through Ayurveda, but making it modern, like that's a concept right there. Discovering your Dharma, tuning into your soul's purpose, that's a concept right there. And, I was writing this book about joy, like the joy codes and different things like that. So I find that it's like a core concept that is the result of lessons that you've learned in your life that has been crystallized into this like message that you can then share to other people. So connecting to what that message is. And it's often something that you have embodied 3 to 7 years ago. So for example, 3 years ago, so this, if you're listening to this now in 2021, what were you thinking about before you fell asleep? What were you Google searching? What conversations were you wanting to have? What were you worried about? What were the things that you were like not sure about that now you're on the other side of? And those are the things that now you feel in a good enough, spacious enough space to be able to share about, right? So maybe 3 years ago, you woke up with like really crippling anxiety and you went on an anxiety healing journey and you learned how to meditate. And now, of course, you might still have anxiety, but you're not like knee deep in it. You've found your way on the other side. That's a book you can now write about because you're not still in it, but you're not so far away from it. It wasn't you 10 plus years ago that you can't even remember what it's like, right? So for me, like, that's why I would not write a book about like how to like have lifelong relationship and marriage. Like now, like I'm not in that, right? But I do feel in a few years, I will probably write a book about all of these lessons that I've learned, but I've chosen not to now because I'm still learning it. I'm still in it right now. However, a book about discovering your Dharma, I could write 100 books on that because I've been living my Dharma for so long that I'm like, oh, I know what it's like from 20 feet away from it. Whereas if I was like still in the process of like stepping in my purpose for the first time. I could have written a book about it, but I would still not have known everything I know before. However, right now it's kind of so far back for me that like I probably wouldn't have written as good of a book as I did when I wrote that book 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because when I wrote that book 5 years ago, I could, even though it was a stretch for me to like remember what it was like to not believe I have a purpose, that I can't make money doing what I love, I could still access it more. I've been making money doing what I love for so long now that it's not the book I would write today.
Yeah.
So I find write the thing that you're on the other side from 3 to 7 years ago, that you can remember what it's like to have those thoughts, to have those insecurities, but you're further away from it, that it's like you can see the bigger picture view that only having space from it would give you.
Yeah. Can you speak a little bit more to people doing things too quickly?
Yeah. So I feel because of the social media culture, we feel like we need to be on the other side and have a lesson and share it like instantly. I see this a lot in like the spiritual Instagram coaching world, because social media has inherently kind of made us a bit, what's the right way to say this? Here, there's a shadow and a light side to it. Do I believe we need to be PhDs and have doctorates and study something for a million years to share about it? No. Do I believe if I had anxiety, do I want to go to the person who's read a million books about anxiety or the person who was super anxious 3 years ago and found their way on the other side? I want to go to that person. That being said, if that person is still hella anxious and has not found their way on the other side and is writing posts about it, that's also not who I want to go to. So there's a happy medium here. Write and share about something that you've experienced that's real for you. You don't need to be the expert in it, but also be honest with where you are on your journey. You don't need to pretend you're the expert. And I see a lot of people, they take what they see other people are posting that seems to be successful. So like everyone's sharing about like manifestation, they all start sharing about manifestation. So everyone's sharing about human design, they also share about human design. That can be a good starting point, but the more that you can add your own flair to it. And by the way, the thing that people really want is your vulnerability. Yeah. The thing that people want is to know that you still struggle, but how you're overcoming it on the other side. So I see like backlash of like, these coaches don't know anything. You're not a therapist. And there's that. And then there's like oh, you don't need to even go to coaching school. Like just start coaching. And it's like, you know, while you don't technically need to go to coaching school, had I not gone to coaching school, there's no way I would have known how to coach people. Had I not hired coaches, there's no way I would have known how to coach people. But ultimately, my experience of coaching people hundreds and hundreds of times is what also has made me see it's not just how I've overcome something. Now I have to see how someone else overcomes something, you know? And like, that's what we really need to be a coach. And I feel a lot of us, we want to be like experts in something, but to be the expert is also not just your personal experience, but to be able to see that problem in a lot of different people.
Yeah, I love that.